Leadership can be a painful and lonely experience. Today, the world appeared to be closing in on Theresa May as the long-awaited showdown with her Brexit cabinet ministers finally arrived. The marathon Chequers meeting of Friday, which had supposedly settled the government's position on Brexit, cast its long shadow. After a weekend of soul-searching, David Davis concluded he could no longer remain in cabinet to sell a Brexit offer he believes is profoundly flawed.
The point is, I was the person who had to present it to Parliament, to the European Union, to everybody else, and if I don't believe in it, then I won't do as good a job as somebody who does believe in it.
Crucially for a veteran political plotter, he signalled that this is not the moment to unseat the Prime Minister.
I know, I like her. I think she's a good Prime Minister.
But you have weakened her, haven't you? There's no question about that.
No, look.
Oh, come on, look at the coverage of your resignation already.
It's one day.
And it's a matter of hours old.
It's one day.
That resignation left Boris Johnson dangerously exposed after months of semi-open revolt against Theresa May. In a sign of the breakdown in trust between Number 10 and the Foreign Office, Downing Street flushed him out after he informed the Prime Minister of his plans. And when his resignation letter appeared, it was clear why Downing Street had moved to preempt the departing Foreign Secretary.
That dream is dying, suffocated by needless self-doubt.
So, 2 resignations in one day on one theme, but these were very different events. Downing Street has long tired of Boris Johnson. Theresa May's only regret at his departure is the potential damage to her. In contrast, Number 10 was genuinely sorry to see David Davis go. His allies said that at one point he was even offered the Foreign Office to keep him on board. Even after the departure of the Brexit big beasts, the Prime Minister signalled there would be no change in direction as Leavers voiced concerns.
This week, the activists were so disappointed about what had happened at Chequers. What did you tell them? They were betrayed. They said they were betrayed, and they asked why. They asked why do we go out each and every Saturday to support the Conservative Party, gets MPs elected.
This is not a betrayal. We will end free movement. We will end the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. We will stop sending vast sums of money to the European Union every year. We will come out of the common agricultural policy. We will come out of the common fisheries policy. I believe, though, that is what people voted for when they voted to leave, and we will deliver in faith with the British people.
As the atmosphere heated up around Westminster, it was clear that Theresa May was facing the gravest challenge to her authority since the self-inflicted wound of the general election. But this was no coordinated coup, and this afternoon, Downing Street signalled that the Prime Minister would fight any challenge to her leadership.
I personally called for her to have a leadership election going back last October. I thought that was the time to do it before we got into the substance of this EU negotiation. Now is certainly not the time to do it, and I don't encourage people to put letters into the 1922, that's the backbench committee that sparks a leadership election. I think with only 3 months until the EU negotiation must be concluded and 3 months to run a leadership election, now's not the time to go and do that.
But one Brexiteer warned the Prime Minister to change tack.
I think this is going to evolve. I think it could be quite fast moving, and given that this is only an opening position and they haven't tabled it formally yet, I'm an optimist. I urge her to get it right. I am supporting the Prime Minister. I want her to do the right thing. I agree with her Lancaster House speech. I supported her throughout those votes in Parliament. We've already had to say no to staying in the single market and the customs union, so I just ask her to implement her policy.
It all has the drama of a dramatic political day with some theatre thrown in. Tonight, Theresa May won some praise for a strong performance in front of her parliamentary party, though there were some Brexiteers who spoke of a Remain coup. Ultimately, the question from today will be who emerges as the weakest party. Theresa May with a hobbled premiership, or Brexiteers lacking the numbers to force her hand.
Well, look, I don't think any Prime Minister wants to lose two very senior Secretaries of State, but I think the Prime Minister has made a deliberate choice, which is actually about having a Brexit that safeguards people's jobs and people's financial security. And she's been very clear that if that means that people can't sign up to it from the Cabinet, then they have to take that decision in order to leave. That's not what anybody wants, but I think she's made a very decisive move in terms of Brexit.
Labour believes the government is frittering away the Brexit negotiations.
This was about principle. I think that they are now going to be heading for a period of, well, I mean, there's going to be challenges to her, isn't there? And it's going to be a question of whether or not we're going to have a leadership challenge, and that will waste yet more time. We are running out of time, and we should have spent the last 2 years negotiating on Brexit, and basically they have spent the last 2 years negotiating amongst themselves as to what it is that they could agree on, and they still haven't been able to agree on anything.
In the intense summer heat, a febrile atmosphere took hold at Westminster. But tonight, Theresa May moved to stabilise her cabinet by appointing the Brexit convert Jeremy Hunt as the new Foreign Secretary. In an ominous sign, more than 80 Tory MPs turned up at a pro-Brexit meeting.